Good evening, everyone. This is a meeting of the Pembroke Zoning Board of Appeals, April 29th, 7 p.m. I'm the chairman, Frederick Cassivan. If the other members could just identify themselves.
John Brennan.
Louis Carpenter.
Fraser Townley.
Okay, just to begin, please note this meeting is being made available to the public through an audio recording, which will be used to ensure an accurate record of proceedings produced in the minutes of the meeting. All comments made in open session will be recorded. So we are going to the continued hearing. Case 11-23, the variance on Diego Coelho, 4 School Street was continued. Last hearing was February 26th, and we're continued to tonight. So, Mr. Coelho, you here? And you want to, and I think you have your engineer here. Do you want to go ahead and make your presentation?
Good evening and thanks.
Of course.
My understanding is you need a structural plan for the wall that needed to be built. We provided the plan, and I talked to George, actually. By code, that wall does not need review because it's under 6 feet. But nonetheless, the plans are provided. I worked with George on trying to accommodate the abutters' need as well by building an additional wall along the common driveway.
Okay.
We also worked with George to try to provide for a green space. So if you set back 5 feet from the wall, there will be some shrubs and trees that will be green zone, I guess. The wall is structurally sound. It's a gravity wall. It's going nowhere. It was needed as a result of the septic system that raised the grade. So to raise the grade, you needed to catch the end of the slope, and therefore the wall. Beyond that, I'm not really sure what other issues there will be, and I'm happy to answer anything that I think I can answer structurally, and also with respect to the grades.
Okay. Mr. McIntyre, did you get to see the plans? No. So what they're proposing is, this is Mr. McIntyre, he's the neighbor.
Oh, okay.
This is Mr. Coelho's engineer. Running retention on Mr. Coelho's property along your property line. Down that line, I assume to hold in all that dirt that's been spilling out into
Yeah.
Mr. McNamara's
So we saw that.
property.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
And I understand the actual construction, provided the approval is given, will start next week. For those 2 additional sections we show on C1, if you take a look at C1, please. You see in red these 2 short walls. So one of them at the upper part of the page, the drawings, is the abutter of the driveway. Okay.
And that's far enough down to alleviate the issue on Mr. McNamara's property?
Yeah, it's actually, far more than you need, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because beyond that, the grades are even.
Gotcha. And is that Mr. Coelho's fence that's on the property line there?
It's Diego, I believe.
That's your fence? It's kind of like
Yeah.
crooked,
Yeah.
okay. What's the plans with that fence?
So we're terminating this wall up to the distance we've talked about here at the post. And then that fence will stay as is. That's my understanding, unless Diego's changing it, but, yeah,
Okay.
so it's staying.
John, any questions?
What was the height of the wall you said?
Yeah, it's 4 feet, 6 inches.
Isn't over 4 feet an engineered wall?
6 feet.
It is
above.
6 feet,
Yeah,
okay.
I actually sent the revised code to George,
Okay, all right.
because I think George was under the wrong impression.
No, I thought it was 4 feet, something, my
It
apologies.
used to be, that's okay.
Used to be, okay, yeah.
That's okay, yeah.
And I apologize, your name again?
Aboud, A-B-O-U-D, Alzaim, A-L-Z-A-I-M.
And you're a PE?
I am, it's right there.
Okay, my apologies again.
No worries.
Thank you. When did they change it from 4 to 6?
This is the 9th edition. The 8th edition, I believe, was the 4 feet or prior.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's been in effect for many years.
Really? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you.
No worries.
The wall was originally too tall.
Yeah.
But now it's,
And it's, well, that part's, it's down, but it's still considered a structure, so they need zoning relief. They're basing it off of, at least from my understanding, was sort of the topography of the property. If you've been there before, it used to just kind of slope down into a fence,
Right.
which it kind of does on Mr. McNamara's side now. So the retention wall's, helping that part of it, but the issue was on Mr. McNamara's side, it's just that wooden fence here. And it just dipped down into his, well, it was his fence, but, and the dirt was just pouring out onto the abutter. So as I understand, to alleviate that, you're gonna put this other
Yeah,
retaining
yeah, as you see
wall,
on C1, yeah, yeah.
and that should alleviate the runoff into Mr.
We believe so,
McNamara's.
yeah.
Okay. And
I
then
mean, the runoff is not helpful to the septic or to Mr. Diego, so we do want to stop that
Sure.
runoff. And actually, when we realized the same thing on Diego's driveway, I recommended as well building a wall on his side. So you can see it again, it's on
on C1,
yeah, yeah.
right over
yeah.
there, okay. Mr. Quill, are you gonna, fix that fence on the property side, on McNamara's side? Okay, but it's gonna stay in that basic location. So in that instance, it's fence and then retainage wall?
Yeah, so there is the retaining wall right here, there will be green space, 5 feet, and there will be a fence.
In the front.
Yes,
And then on McNamara's side,
the existing fence will terminate where the new block will
okay.
We'll basically pick up.
That new block wall right where that fence is,
I'm sorry?
that new block wall is gonna go right on the fence line?
Yeah, within his property line, yeah. That's the only way to stop that runoff.
Well, it didn't have to be filled into the septic system, first of all.
Well, that's
a different issue.
that's not, I disagree with it, but
Well,
that's
I
fine.
disagree with that also.
Okay, okay.
All right. Does anyone else here have anything to say on this matter?
So there's no setbacks on the wall on my property line?
What do you mean there's no
No
setbacks?
setbacks, he's gonna put a 4-foot block wall facing my building now.
it's gonna be inside of my property, the blocks.
Right, but how far is it off of the property line?
It's within the property line.
No, I
That's-
understand, but you're seeking a variance for the setback.
What the plan is to put it where the existing fence is right now.
On the property line.
Yeah, yeah, and the issue really is the matter of safety with respect to that differential in grades. I mean, if you want to argue about the septic system, that's long gone, because the septic system was approved by this town, built and constructed. That's a different issue right now. It will be 2 blocks, 4 feet, and it steps down to 1 block, so it's really not that intrusive. It's not, but again, I can't tell you what.
So that's right on the property line, so you need, what's the relief you need on that? How many, you need the whole setback, 20 feet?
I'm not really sure we're seeking relief. That's what I'm confused.
Well, it's a structure on, and there's setbacks. So the side setback's 20 feet. So I just need to know what do you need for relief?
As we show it on C1.
Okay, so you need all 20 feet.
Yeah,
Okay.
in the truth of the matter, again, if we were to leave it as is, it's inconvenient for the abutter. It's compromising the safety of the septic system, and ultimately, it will wash out. All of that fine sand would run into your streets as well, and your sidewalk. I mean, it's,
Mr. McNamara, if that fence is up where it is with that, the fence that's there now, if you're putting this,
yeah.
the retaining up that stretch on the property line, is the fence screening the visual of that, where you see the retainage wall? From his property?
No, you're just gonna see from my side, not from his side.
Plus, the green zone that George asked for, I think is going to disguise a lot of that and make it more pleasant.
Okay.
5 feet of shrubbery, you know, not.
So, Mr. McNamara, was the concern the visual?
So, first of all, I don't have any idea what you're talking about here with these plans and so on and so forth. So now you're telling me that you're gonna be building a wall on my property line, is that correct?
He's proposed, John can show you.
Yeah.
All right, so you're looking for, is there a way to step that back off the property line?
I mean, I guess you can do that, but again, the main wall right now that has been constructed extends all the way to the property line. So if we were to step it, it will be like this.
The
And
main
all of-
wall is short of the property line at this point in time, because there's a telephone pole over there. And there's a little half butt fence, sticks, boards, or whatever, holding dirt back before you get to the fence.
All right, but you're saying this wall you're building is the end of that current retainage wall, and you're just connecting it right like that?
Yes.
That way nothing go on his side. And the concrete blocks gonna stay at my property, not his property, and not on the property line.
I understand.
It's inside of my property.
Okay.
The 5 feet of shrubbery, that's height, I assume?
I'm sorry?
You said there's 5 feet of shrubbery?
Space.
Yeah, there will be green space for 5 feet. Yeah, my recommendation is not to grow trees that will be mature trees, so it doesn't push against the retaining wall. Tree roots are very destructive.
Yeah.
So really just high, low-intensity landscaping to again give that visual improvement and not impact the wall.
So, yeah, that would be like, what?
And if you see it on S2,
Okay.
There's a lot of space to push it back at all. Just given that, how close this house is.
Okay. John, any questions?
I'd like to comment.
Yes. Sure, what's your name?
It's Susan Hanlon Dowdland. Just by coincidence, I have a similar experience where a wall showed up, very similar to this. And there was no hearing and no plans and it is a structure, no approval. So my comment is, or question is, wouldn't there be a process in place to notify people like myself and this gentleman when these walls show up because they are structures, instead of they get delivered and then you have to come and sort of plead your case. So that's really a question, like what is the process for getting approval for such a wall and not just having it show up? And my issue is separate from this, but I would like to bring my issue before you in a separate way, and maybe I can get on the agenda at some future.
Yep, so what happens in this instance, the wall was built.
Oh, right.
And they didn't
Right.
realize was what they tell us, that they needed a building permit. And also, because it's considered a structure in the town, a variance.
Correct.
So,
So there was no notice to
Well,
the
then-
butters and,
well, when they came in for this hearing, there was notice.
okay,
So when we had this hearing, he got put on notice by the building inspector that he needed relief from here.
I see.
And then they have to file an application, run a publication, send notice out to 300-foot abutters,
Right.
and then we've had a few hearings on it since. So that's how that notice happened. In this perfect world, he would have came and got the variance first,
Correct.
or asked for the variance first, and then obviously went and did the structure after.
So what is your advice and direction to me with a similar, almost exact circumstance? Just by coincidence?
I mean, I can't advise you on that, but
Oh,
I
no, on
would,
process,
I
so
would
to
speak,
come before you.
I would speak to the zoning enforcement officer, if you think there's some sort
So,
of.
George Very,
Correct. Yep.
okay.
Yeah, he handles violations, we don't, in that sense, we don't, yeah. Okay. You have anything else you wanna add, or?
No, I hope you approve it, I think it's needed.
Okay.
As I said, I worked with George, I changed the plan 3 times for the simple things to accommodate really what George thought that the zoning board would want and the abutters would want, and we did. I gave him the calculations, 10 calculation, I gave him the revised code, I gave him everything. And I believe he sent a letter recommending approval.
No, he had a letter, basically, if it was approved, that he wanted at least a 5-foot green space.
Right, okay.
Yeah, on the Matakeesit side.
Okay, yeah.
All right.
So, that's-
Mr. McNamara, you have anything else you wanna?
I'm just kind of shocked, actually, to kind of step back and think that the wall's put in illegally to begin with, and now it's okay, and now you're gonna put a wall on my side.
Okay, so you don't want that, I know you had expressed concerns about the runoff.
Yeah, runoff's a big concern.
Right, and they were-
And I don't wanna be staring at a block wall on my side.
Okay.
When he say on his side, it's my property, why
No,
you
no,
say
no,
on
that
his
it's up on the property line, so that's his concern.
It's at the bottom of the slope of the driveway, and it's not.
No, I understand where it
It's a couple of blocks in length, so.
Mr.
but
McNamara, is the fencing up gonna,
When you say a couple of blocks in length, you look at 24 feet here, according to these plans.
To try to actually extend it as far as we need to make sure you don't get any runoff. I meant a couple of blocks in its height, it's,
So then.
the lower one block
Then
is
the
going
fence-
to.
Is the fence going on the block, or are you leaving the fence there and putting the block inside the fence?
The new blocks will be in line with the existing fence that will stay beyond the 24 feet we just talked about. That's my understanding. He has no plan to do otherwise.
but the fence isn't blocking this
No,
retainage wall?
No, it's not.
Okay, so I think that's Mr. McNamara's, because he doesn't wanna look at it, this big retaining wall.
Well, but again, it's not big retaining wall, but if this visual, the front is bothering you, there is nothing we can do about it. I mean, it is concrete block, it's landscape, it's decorative as well. I
Is there a way
don't
to-
blame him, I mean, aesthetics is a personal issue, I'm not passing any judgment on.
Is there a way to run a fence down there? So you're screening that from Mr. McNamara?
But then the block will have to be set back in, and a new fence will have to. And I'm not really sure why that would need to take place, but that's entirely up to Diego, but
Well, that's just a thought, because one, again, maybe a mistake, but you're coming and asking for forgiveness, not permission. Mr. McNamara expressed some concerns, being the direct abutter, who is basically gonna be on the property line, or pretty close. He said, I think you did a good job dealing with that runoff piece, because that was a concern, Mr. McNamara, correct?
Yeah, it's still like that.
Right, so this would, I'll take your word, would alleviate that. And then Mr. McNamara is saying, and I understand he doesn't want this big structure, wall right on his property line. What I was asking, is there a way you can screen that with some sort of fencing or something, so he's not looking at concrete block?
I mean, there are ways it can be done, but I'm not really sure, that's up to Diego, but I, on a personal level, don't see a need, but that's not my decision, it's your decision.
Is the wall gonna go level?
It's not level.
What's the question?
Is the wall gonna go in level?
I don't know what you mean by level,
So
but
the front wall technically supposedly is level, correct? So if you're gonna build it back into the hill, are you gonna bring it back in level, or are you gonna be putting it at an angle?
so it's gonna step up, step down as shown on that. So there are two blocks and it goes
These 2
into
minutes
a
ago,
block.
so I
I'm
didn't
sorry?
have a chance. I just got these 2
No, no,
minutes ago,
I
I had
know,
a chance to look at
That's
it.
fine.
But my issue now
That's fine.
is the telephone.
It's shown on S 1.1.
So my issue is the telephone pole. How are you gonna tie it? If you bring it up to the fence, now you're gonna have a space around the telephone pole. And it's not gonna be tied into the existing block wall.
I mean, but those small construction issues we deal with all the time. We feel it's.
All right, you guys have anything else?
I can flip this, or is that a matter of a machine?
Well, he's right about this.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is not an issue, yes.
See, again, I wanted to present these plans to you in an honest way, so we called the as constructed wall because it's there, and then we showed the two walls proposed
Sure.
in red. Because I don't want to be showing things that's not accurate. But think of the alternative, although you said you're coming to ask for relief after the fact. The alternative would have been all of that to be washing off that property. It's just not conceivable. A retaining wall needed to be there, and I would have assumed the septic approval then should have required it. And then everything would have occurred as it needed to.
Okay. John?
I
anything?
mean, my gut feeling is Mr. McNamara and you guys should get together and try to,
We tried that once with George.
And he
George
disappeared.
never showed up.
okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just trying to be good neighbors and come to a mutual agreement on something, but,
Yeah, we should have a meeting, me and him and George, and he disappeared.
no, it's fine. I'm,
So what I
Sub-
can do, I
yeah.
can force him to meet me and George.
Who disappeared?
You,
No, I was
George
here for half an hour.
George
You
asked
saw.
us for wait for him, and he said he's not gonna wait, so what am I gonna do?
Okay, all right.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, George was satisfied with this, because that's really, with all due respect, aside from the variance of what's the definition of a structure, and to answer, if there were no need for a variance, by right, I can build a retaining wall and not inform anybody. I can do that.
You
That's
can't put a
just.
structure of the property.
No,
Excuse me,
I understand. I
Yeah.
said if
No.
there is no need for a variance.
Right, no, I
If there
understand what
is-
you're saying.
If there is no need for a variance, I can.
Okay. Louis, do you have anything? No? John? No. Mr. McNamara, have anything else you wanna, you're just against, you're against the,
I'm not so much that I'm against the wall, I'm just against it going all the way up to my fence, or up to the fence. And the way that it's concerning to be tied in around the telephone pole. Well, I can't even believe they tied it around the telephone pole with National Grid or whoever, but that's.
right. So you're more comfortable without that wall coming up to your side?
It's not that I'm more comfortable with it. If the wall was gonna be put in level and disappear in, I'd be somewhat okay with it, I guess.
Okay.
But how are you gonna tie that corner? Because
Well, something inside the corner piece.
The two corner pieces are at the same elevation.
Mhm.
They have to catch all of that corner fill that's washing out. Beyond that, we step it down according to the existing grade. So it goes from 2 blocks in height to 1 block in height.
Okay.
And again, the grades are what they are. They are what they are.
when was the septic system put in?
2 years ago, 3
2
years
years
ago.
ago.
And it's elevated, obviously.
Yeah. And you can see the lowest inverse was raised about 2 feet from grade at that point, then you have the septic, and then you have the fill on top of it too, so it's.
Okay. Anything else you guys wanna add? No? Mac, anything else you want to?
This isn't my decision, I mean, this is up to you guys, but it's just like I said, I have a struggle with the way it's gonna be tied in on my side, if it goes to the fence.
Right.
So you're looking for the block to maybe go level down versus
If
level
he's
up?
gonna- If the wall is gonna, if you were gonna allow him to continue this wall, I'd like to see the wall stay level.
Okay, so,
But I'm not going down with the grade.
okay,
I don't wanna be looking at a slanted wall.
okay. Is that feasible?
Well, staying with the grade, the problem is it wouldn't contain or retain the fill. And again, George being an experienced guy, he looked at the section, he agreed that that's the right transition to that.
You had 27 feet to drop that from the wall to where the septic system is. That's less than 3 or 4 inches a foot.
Again, I'm really not here to argue what was
No,
done
no,
with
no,
the
no,
septic
no.
or the grades or what was. And I've given my recommendation, it should have been actually included back then during the septic design and construction.
Okay.
Who did the septic system design?
I know they are from Pembroke.
Someone from Pembroke?
Alright. Okay, anyone want to add anything else? Otherwise we can. No. Make a motion to close the public hearing? All in favor?
Sure.
Aye, okay. Alright. So the front one doesn't seem to be an issue. Well, this one's just.
No, it's just the back corner.
So, you simply just prove what's there.
Be nice to see a mutual agreement on the back corner, if possible, to be good neighbors,
Yeah, well, maybe they can figure
if
that out.
possible. Right?
Yeah, I think they had a chance to meet and do their thing, and that didn't work, so.
I mean, I met George on site, I know the public hearing was closed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I understand that, so. What do you think?
I think it sounds kind of silly, but within our schools, the issue.
Okay.
Just what is this,
No.
design? What's that?
Okay, well, if you guys want to make the motion,
Do you think there's anything within, like, staggering it, instead of?
Yeah. What's the design, it designed itself.
One motion.
Make a motion.
Pose a motion to go for a vote?
Okay. What are you proposing?
I was thinking, you mentioned flat.
Trying to create a town.
What if a staggered portion instead, that might be a half
Right.
a point.
So instead of all going what Mr. McIntyre, we can try to like grade it down. Is that your thought?
Well, first of all, I didn't know I was coming before the board tonight to discuss
No.
my property line.
Okay. That's
No,
fine.
it's closed anyway, so.
So, my thought was if you guys are gonna allow the wall to get built on my property line, then I would like at least to see it all look nice on my property line, and not be coming down at an angle.
Okay.
And my concern is around the telephone pole. You're gonna put, you can't close that gap where the wall ends and the telephone pole.
All right, you put in a motion, what was it?
Is there anything we can condition on that, in terms of, I don't know, or is
Well,
it-
you can make a motion to allow this plan, and then on that McNamara side, that if you have some thought on how to grade or stagger those, if you're inclined to allow it, then you could do that.
Can I just be helpful for you for 1 minute? Right now, we're showing 2 blocks that terminate Sam's 1 block. So that last block kind of disappears with the existing grades and slope. If we were to only use one block, you will not retain the fill you need to retain. You will not. At the bottom of the driveway, which is the corner of where the two blocks meet. We didn't put the two blocks because we wanted to put two blocks. We put the two blocks because of the grading that we are dealing with. I would much prefer one block and just disappears into the existing grade. That doesn't happen. The grades will not work, and then the wash off will happen with the top 2 feet, 3 feet of the soil. Just wouldn't work.
But you could move the blocks in, no? You can step the blocks and move them in.
Well, but that's again, you're encroaching on
I'm
his.
just gonna stop everybody. Hang on.
I've been around building walls and everything else. He definitely needs 2 blocks in the bottom. I'm not opposed to the 2 blocks in the bottom. My concern is, if you're gonna allow the wall, it's gotta be tied in correctly on that corner. And you can't tie it in correctly on that corner around the pole and then go up the fence line. There's like a 3 or 4 foot difference.
Okay. All right, well, let's put it to a vote. You want to make a vote, Bruce? Sure.
Motion to vote on the matter?
Yeah, each, what are you putting for?
Approve the sentences, I suppose.
Okay.
John, I'm sorry.
He wants to approve the plan, you know, as presented.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any comment or?
No.
Anything else? Okay.
My wife just texted me now. Can we extend this and let us bring in an engineer? If that's possible? Because I do have some concerns on this corner.
All right, well, I don't like to do this. We could reopen this. And if Mr. McNamara wants to have, or we can just go to a vote.
I'm okay with extending.
All right, so I'll make a motion to reopen the public portion of this hearing. Second.
Who's got for a second?
Okay. All's in favor, aye?
Aye.
Sorry. Sorry, it's a little unusual. So, with that being said, are you willing to let Mr. McNamara have an engineer look at these plans and see if you guys can come to an agreement on that corner?
I mean, I can't speak for my client, but I have no issues as an engineer, but I'm not really sure procedurally what was the basis for requesting to hire an engineer right now, when this has been going on for a long time.
Well, it's either you can,
Procedurally, what's,
well, right now
What's
it's,
that?
we're giving you an opportunity to address it because I'm inclined not to allow it. So, the variance is, you're looking for a lot of relief. Okay, so, and there's a major concern with the abutter. You know, you didn't come in and get the variance, and regardless of the history, I really don't care about the septic and all that stuff. You know, and he's got some real concerns that he could have addressed before the wall even went up. You know, but now you built the wall, you're coming in now looking for the relief. So, again, I'm inclined not to allow it because I don't think from what you presented, you meet the standard.
So what
what
is the
are
setback?
the standards? What standards are you alluding to? If I can ask.
For a variance,
Okay. Again,
you're looking for basically all 20 feet on the side. And you're looking for whatever, 15 or whatever the feet in the, I mean, the wall's right on the line. You're building stuff right on the property line. The structures, they require variances. You can't build structures on property lines.
and may I ask you, what's the definition of a structure in the town of Pembroke?
Well, as of now, with Mr. Berry's interpretation, this retaining wall is a structure.
Well, so this is where
Right.
George was
So
operating under a different code. That's why I was trying to be.
you're talking about, that's different. If the assemblage of material, building material is a structure.
So it's not a structure, so you tell me.
Yes,
It's not a structure,
right,
and it doesn't require permits.
right. But I
I'm
agree
just
that,
clarifying that.
right, that it was after the fact, and I
So
agree
the
that that's what
opportunity
you-
here is to, because you came before us seeking a variance. So
Yes,
you're saying
yes.
it's a structure, you need a variance, right? I mean, that's otherwise. you could
Because
just-
George triggered that.
If you don't think it's a structure, you could just withdraw your
But it was tall, it was tall at one time, greater than,
There's a picket fence.
no, the wall.
Yeah.
9-foot
Oh,
wall.
No, the wall at one time was greater, we knocked the
Yeah,
block
and he
off,
asked me
right?
to remove.
You removed the block.
Yeah.
So, but originally it was put in without any permits, it was just done, right, correct?
that's news to me. So
No,
now
no, no,
I need
just-
to,
I'm
I
asking
need
you
to
guys a
present
question.
myself
So
clearly.
originally,
Yes.
it was a big wall
Yeah.
done without any permitting,
Yeah,
and Diego, you knocked it down.
yeah,
So it was, no permits were pulled when we did this originally.
Yeah.
And that's why we're kinda here
Yeah.
today.
yeah,
It was reduced.
Yeah.
So right now, technically, you're the PE, not me.
yeah,
It's not a structure. It meets all code. So we saying?
yes, yeah,
I'm just asking the question.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, no, but it's deemed a structure under the bylaw.
that's fine,
Yeah,
yeah, which is,
well,
which
I
is the
know,
town
I know.
bylaw.
I know.
So, but state building code, you have your own local bylaw. I
Right, so-
appreciate that, I was just
No, no,
asking.
just
The
question.
whole purpose of
Yes.
this, because we need to get on to the next meeting.
Yeah.
These people are waiting.
Yeah.
And I don't think that one's gonna be very long. Is, I'm giving you an opportunity to, Mr. McNamara's gonna have someone look at the plan, because he just saw it today, we all just saw this today, for the first time. And it's been some time since the last
It
hearing.
was submitted last Tuesday to you.
No, I understand, I'm not
Okay.
saying you did anything wrong. So, Mr. McNamara wants to have someone look at it and digest it and see if there's, if you guys can come up with some understanding. Because otherwise, I'm inclined to vote no. So I would suggest you go get together, have him look at the plan, or well, you have the plan, or get him a copy of the plan, and then work with his engineer if he wants, and maybe you can come up with something that works. You know, because otherwise, I'm inclined not to allow it.
Because of his concern, not because of other.
Because I don't, you haven't shown to me you're meeting the standard for a variance.
Well, you have a septic system if the wall is not there.
So it's not the
I
variance.
understand that, but that's
What I
within.
suggest the other thing you do is read
Okay.
chapter 40A on what a variance is and what it requires. But I think if you could satisfy the immediate budding neighbor, it might give us enough there to look at this and possibly allow the project. Can't speak to the other board members.
No, I'm in agreement.
But there's a standard that's in chapter 48.
Okay,
So if you want that, we could give it one more continuance.
it's up to Diego.
When he asked for setback, how many inches he went?
You have to look at, we're not here to tell you, I mean, we'll
No.
work with you on conditions, but you design a plan, you gotta tell us what you need for relief.
But I worked with you, again, with all due respect, I worked with George to accommodate.
That's fine, George
I
isn't-
understand.
he's not
I
the zoning
understand,
board.
But
George is in the zoning board.
I understand.
So you're asking for relief, you gotta articulate what it is. You know, you got us a new plan, but you're not telling us how much relief you need, that's all I'm saying. So, work with Mr. McNamara, if his engineer wants to talk to you and look at the plan and figure out this corner, and then you guys can come in and articulate and show on this plan the exact amount of relief you need. We'll put it in a letter, and then we can have a vote on it. So if you want, we can do that, or we could close and go to a vote now.
It sounds like the corner is what we're.
The corner of my meeting.
Yeah.
So I think if we can come to a mutual agreement between both parties and the engineer,
You can have the opportunity to try to do that, or we can close and vote, and I'm telling you, I'm not gonna vote in favor of it, so.
swinging a radius, kind of doing something.
So do you guys want that opportunity, or?
Well, these blocks don't tend.
Hang on, John.
Allow
Let's just-
themselves to. It's
Do you
not-
guys want the opportunity
It's
to
not
do
for
that
me
or
to
not?
answer.
Diego,
Well, let's do this. We can meet one more time.
okay.
That would be
All
It
right.
has to be fair for both sides, you know?
It's, you guys,
Because the way he wants it, he
You
don't
guys
wanna
can
see
talk
blocks
and-
on my side, that doesn't make sense.
Diego, remember, you're asking for the relief,
Yeah,
okay?
and way he was, when I have to replace the whole fence,
Diego,
the wood fence.
I'm not getting into any of that, I'm just telling you,
I
this
did
is,
everything
this is an
by
opportunity to
myself,
try
yeah.
to work and figure it out, and if you can, you can, if you can't, just come back and we'll have a vote. And you gotta put some numbers on there to show us what you need for relief on the
Well,
sides.
that will need to come from the survey. I mean, if this is what you want, the
It's-
survey will have to show.
It's what you need, because you're gonna get a decision of the variance, it's gonna say how much you need. It's gonna say you need 2 feet, 3 feet, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, why don't we continue, when's this?
May 20th or June 10th.
Can you do that by May 20th? May 20th. May 20th?
Thank you.
All right, make a motion, continue the hearing to May 20th, 7 PM. All in favor? I'm sorry, get a second. All in favor?
All right, John.
All right, we'll see you then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, you can keep those. I won't charge
I can, we can get this one.
you.
Yeah, I can get it. No, I'll get it. I'll stay. Frank, I'll stay for this one. You can sit on it though. Sure.
Who's observing?
Okay, notice is hereby given that the Pembroke Zone of Appeals hold a public hearing on Monday, April 29th, Pembroke Town Hall on the application of Celebration Auto, Inc., 12 Eagle Drive, Mashpee, requesting a new modified special permit according to the zoning bylaws, section 44B1, the sale of goods, 1B4, B2, to consider the application of Celebration Auto Inc. for a permit or finding on GL Chapter 48, Section 6, and Section B5 of the bylaws to operate an auto dealership at 32 Scoosett Street. All right.
Good evening.
Sorry for the delay. Go ahead.
No, that's how you learn.
Yeah.
First time in Pembroke, David Waller. I'm an attorney down in the Cape.
Okay.
And I represent Adam Weiner, and his son Addison is with us also. I also wanted to point out, we have Mrs. McGee and Brian Davidson
Okay.
here from the potential sellers of the property. I think everybody's very familiar with this property. It's obviously very important, I'm guessing very important property in the town of Pembroke, and a very prominent location on, how do you pronounce it?
Scoosett.
Yeah, I'm from Massachusetts, I'm not saying Worcester. So, and just briefly, I just want to, I know it is important and whatever. I've had the pleasure of representing Adam for about 25 years. When he came in, should I tell a bit of his story?
I know I don't want that one.
He was younger than Addison, than his son, and he came in here, and he met with me for about an hour and a half, and I looked at my secretary, and I literally said, that kid is gonna be one successful guy. And that was 25 years ago, and I've had the pleasure of not only representing him, but become his friend over the past 25 years. Adam actually started and sold recently a company called Guarantee Fresh Produce. They used to deliver a lot around here. They delivered to schools and restaurants, and and after 20-something years, sold it to a company that's traded on NASDAQ, or the NASDAQ, Chef's Warehouse. And Adam's passion has always been cars, and he's, I drive him crazy because my car is always a mess and his are always neat. Sometimes I meet him and he'll have it actually taken out and clean. But he's come, and he's been in the car business and various aspects of it, and he wants to make Pembroke that possibility. And I'll get into the variance and requirements under the statute and the special permit. But before that, if he has the privilege of being approved, the first thing he wants to do is put a substantial amount of money and spruce up the outside and the property. We're not trying to change one thing. This is only a use issue. And I know that I was talking to Bob Gavin. He's trying to make it he's stuck on the expressway, so he may not be here. He represents the McGees in this matter, but I know that he spoke to the town attorney about this as well, and really I'm trying to hit this from every avenue, but just to get the legal standards down, if a special permit, it is in harmony with the bylaw with respect to going on a variance issue. There are this is a very unique property from soil conditions, topography, and a hardship based upon those. With respect to the soil conditions, prior to the McGee's owning it, was a Volvo dealership, and there were some 21E issues on the property that has restricted its uses, that prohibits many uses under the B district. But with respect to the existing special permit. There is a special permit that I'm sure you all have in front of you, or don't you? The 2001 special permit that was approved by this board. I'm guessing none of the members were there at the time. And there was only one restriction, and really trying to continue to keep that in place. We're not looking for any additional relief other than allowing Adam's company and his son, his family, and he also has two other boys and a daughter. They want to, though they still live on the Cape, they do want to become active in the town of Pembroke. That was his style in Hyannis, and where he had the shop there, and is a very good corporate citizen. I know that the McGee family was likewise a good corporate citizen in this town and continues to be so, and he wants to continue that tradition. This is with respect to the actual, I know people here, car dealerships, this is not, he's not gonna get it, this isn't the junk low-end stuff, this is good vehicles to be sold, for people who are, buying pre-owned, as they say. We used to say used, but now they say pre-owned. But with respect to that, I can get into greater detail. I don't know if there's any questions from the board.
So is all you need is that condition 9 to be
I mean,
changed?
if that's the way that the board wants to handle it, I think we can, because it's an existing, they've been in, McGee has been, it has been in business this year. So they're under the bylaw, they've not been out of business for a year, so they could turn around tomorrow and sell a vehicle. And really, that was the condition that, I can get into all the other variance conditions, but I think that's the easiest route.
So the uses, everything's the same, the
Yep.
use is the same.
Would not seek to do one thing different.
We'd just be amending really this special permit to have it run to,
You can delete the provision, or you can make it and continue it with my client as the party, whatever you see fit.
right, so, okay, that's what I thought. And that gets you where you need to be.
It certainly does.
Okay. Is anyone out here in the public for or against this matter? No, okay. John,
I'm
any
good, no,
questions?
I'm good.
Yep, seems cut and dry.
Okay. So I guess the only, I'm inclined to just, personally, I think just amending that condition 9.
Yeah.
would be-
I would leave that to the board's discretion. I threw either one out there. I don't care one way or the other.
Yeah, and I think that's
Whatever, that's probably the safer way.
probably
Yeah.
cleaner.
Yeah.
I'm
Excuse me, I'm sorry, so the only reason it was written that way is because I was advised by our council to write it that way.
No, and I understand
Yep,
people.
no, and by the way, and I apologize, you've been fantastic to deal with. I mean, you talk about answering your phone calls, getting back to you, extremely knowledgeable, and
I appreciate that.
absolutely
Yeah,
fantastic
very
to
true.
deal with. Yeah.
I just wanted to mention that's why it was written.
No,
Makes
that's
sense.
fine.
Yeah.
So I would be inclined personally, just to amend it in a way that it just runs to the new, your client.
Celebration, your company, yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
so, does that make sense to you?
Yeah,
guys?
absolutely. Yeah,
All right.
continue, sure.
So we're inclined to do that. Anything else you want to add, or?
No, it's just
No?
like, again, if he gets approved and he's able to buy it, come down and see Adam and his son. and-
Yes, no, that's, I was using the car.
I sound like the car salesman, no?
Yeah. All right, so why don't we, nothing else to add?
No,
Okay.
you get the sale, shut up.
Yeah, no, I'm inclined to do that, and then, so we'll just have it run to the current petition.
Mhm.
Is that what it'd be in that name, that auto, the applicant's
Yeah,
name, the celebration?
Celebration Auto Company, yeah.
Okay,
It's used cars, right?
Yes.
Pre-owned.
Oh, excuse me. Pre-owned. You're already selling.
Gently.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. All right, I'll make a motion to close the hearing. All's in second? All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay.
Thank you. And one last comment, I've been doing this for 30 years, I've never been to Pembroke. This by far is the best selectmen's room I've ever been. I love the history. This is
Oh, yeah, this is
fantastic.
fun.
Every
I
town
know.
should do this.
Yeah, they do a good job in
Yeah,
here.
it's fantastic.
I
Honoring these
I bought
guys.
a store, there was an old automobile dealership in the 30s. That was big name, but I won't mention anything more than that, trust me.
Yeah. All right, so I'll make the motion to allow the application, or specifically to amend condition 9 of the current special permit from case 04-01, so that the site plan and special permits run to the current applicant, Celebration Auto, Inc. Shall not run with the land. Should the petitioner leave sell the property, site plan approval, permit shall become null and void. Any other discussion on that?
No, I can go with that.
Second? All's in favor?
John Gurney, aye.
Thank you so much.
You got
Have a
it.
great night. Thank you.
Good luck.
Counsel, is it possible, I don't know, Sue, if you're able, could you submit just a proposed decision to her?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty
Absolutely.
quick, but.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent.
Okay. I'll get it to you probably by
Oh,
Wednesday.
I got a question.
All right.
No, not on this issue, you're done.
Okay, all right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good luck, guys. All right, thank you, everybody. I gotta run.
Yeah, yeah. You wanna close? Or not
Yeah,
close?
let me make,
Don't close the meeting.
Okay,
well, this,
you're not on the agenda.
thank you, yeah, there's just, it's not on the agenda, so,
For public question, or?
no.
Have you not asked your question?
I didn't,
Kind
I'm not
of.
asking my question, yeah.
No, so if
No, but you understood the process.
No.
Rick's, okay.
No, I could tell that the process is a little bit, maybe quirky or not quite,
well, if there's something you want to get on the agenda for.
Yeah,
you have to
there's an
file.
agenda.
My question was, how are butters notified of change in ownership and, you know, when a new business comes into a building? I used to get, that was my question, why I encouraged you not to have any sidebar conversations, but to find out what is the process for being notified when a new owner comes in. I used to get letters and there was a meeting and you could come and say your concerns.
It depends on, I mean, I can just speak to you generally just to help you.
Why did it stop, I guess?
Well, it would be if someone just buys a business from somebody, it doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna get notified of anything.
Oh, we used to.
No, but you may have got notified if there was, sometimes when a business would change, they would need a special permit, like these gentlemen did.
Abutters.
So you get
I'm a
notice.
butter.
No, I'm trying to explain it to you.
Yeah.
In that instance, you would get notice because they needed a special permit. So you get a notice through the bylaws, which is a 300-foot radius. But if I go sell my business and it doesn't require a special permit, you're not gonna get notified of that by the town.
Do you mind one more question?
Sure.
When things go awry and there are activities outside of what's allowed, so you allow something within certain parameters. And I happen to know what the parameters are because I was at some of the meetings, because I got letters from the office notifying me. There doesn't seem to be any way for somebody like me to come in and say, to whom do I address this? If there's little or no interest in hearing what the issue is.
Well, I mean, that's very vague, but
Well,
generally
I
what
can
you
give
need.
you an example.
Well, generally, if there's an issue that you find that's from a zoning perspective,
Right.
you
that's
gotta
the
go,
butter.
you need to see the zoning enforcement officer.
And who is that?
That's the building commissioner, Mr. Berry.
So you can,
Oh, I know, yeah.
you can always come to the town if there's ever a question.
We, as its board, we don't enforce the bylaws.
He does?
He does. We interpret them.
What if he doesn't want to, and he won't, like, engage?
You can challenge it.
That's what I would suggest if you're
How do
having,
you get on the agenda
I
through him?
don't, hang on, I'm gonna stop, because I don't know what specifics we're talking about.
Yeah.
Nothing specific on the agenda about whatever you're
Correct,
talking about, so.
Right. I'd like to address it in a formal way here in
So-
front of you.
Well, you need to be on the agenda, so
Yeah.
you need to have something that you're challenging or you're
Right.
applying for. So if there's something, what I'd probably suggest, it sounds like there's an issue going on, is maybe you engage an attorney and have him look at this.
Well, let me give you
'Cause
an
it's-
example, and you can say whether I should get an attorney.
I'm not gonna tell you whether you should get an attorney or not, I'm just telling you, if you're having trouble with interpretation, that's one way to go.
I
But-
think the trouble is with enforcement, it's not interpretation.
And then
It's
there's,
with-
if there is enforcement issues, there's a mechanism to deal with that.
So it's pretty coincidental that I come here tonight and somebody delivered those block walls on the property line where I live, and I have to look at them, and this poor gentleman had the same issue. I'm extremely grateful that you could see that it was a structure and it needed a setback. But I have no recourse if you don't get anyone from the town to put you on the agenda without hiring an attorney, and that, everybody knows how much that costs.
I'm not saying you have to hire an attorney, but there's a mechanism, if you think something needs to be enforced, you gotta
Right.
go follow it, and you can go in the bylaws and read it, and you can do that. If you think someone's not doing something they should, then there's a mechanism to deal with that.
So what I think
All
I'll
right.
do is contact Mr. Berry, and ask to be put on the
Yeah.
agenda for the issues.
Yeah.
And if he just doesn't return the call or doesn't engage in any way, you have to get a lawyer and then.
I'm not saying you have to get a lawyer, I'm just, and I don't know what you're talking about specifically, and I'm not gonna discuss it specifically, because it's not on the agenda, and no one's been
Right.
notified of it,
Well, I'm just
so.
trying to figure out how to get on the agenda.
Well,
I just
then-
have a question about that, excuse me,
Yeah.
sorry. As far as putting you on the agenda, shouldn't that come through Mr. Berry, and like you said earlier, as far as
If there's-
she's disputing
If there's an
something with
issue,
him?
an enforcement issue, yeah, you gotta go to the building department, he's the enforcement zoning, he's the zoning enforcement officer, we don't enforce the bylaws like that. You can't come to me and just say,
No.
this gentleman built something too close to my property, I want it gone. That's not the process.
Well, that's why I was asking.
Yeah.
Right? It was not clear anywhere
Right.
what the process
Yeah, you gotta
is.
go, the zoning enforcement officer enforces the bylaws, so if you said someone's violating something and it's your,
Right, exact same scenario. It's
It's-
just shockingly coincidental.
it's, then you go to him first.
Yeah, and if he won't engage, then
I don't know what you mean by don't engage.
is not interested in.
So either if there's inaction, then there's a mechanism for you to move forward, or if he takes action, then you review what he did, and then you decide if you don't like it or you do like it.
Well, it's not a matter of liking, it's just a matter of like, parity and equity and, making sure that precedents aren't set that, impact more and more town people.
Yeah, again, I mean,
So,
I don't know what
yeah.
the issue is, but that's where I would start, and
Okay.
then read the bylaws, and that'll tell you if there's an issue you're having there, what to do
Right.
next.
Right,
Yep.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, did we close?
No, we didn't close.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chair, you know that you've already had one of these.
Yeah.
And, or it probably sounds like in the same category, but I just wanted to ask one question. if
Sure.
that's all right? So we have contemplated the idea of reopening, some conditions that you imposed as part of the development that don't seem like they were followed up on. So somewhat of a straightforward pathway. The question for us is, at this point, occupancy is granted, is this the right form?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, again, we're sort of skirting around getting into specific cases
Yeah.
here that aren't
I'm just
on,
looking for some guidance.
aren't on the
'cause we don't know
agenda.
enough. Yeah.
again, I would, and I understand that, I would direct you to the bylaws. If you have counsel, great, if not, but if there's an enforcement issue, right, so if you think something needs to be enforced, whether it's someone's not following through on a condition on a permit or what have you, the zoning enforcement officer is where you go.
Okay.
You go to Barry, go to Mr. Barry, he's where you go.
Yeah.
You don't come right to us.
I understand that, but we're been similarly misled. And if there are conditions that you impose, does that ultimately come back here, or is this state building officials?
From speaking generally, if there was something you thought needed to be enforced, and you went to Mr. Berry, and then he did some sort of enforcement against the people that were, not complying with whatever this is, then if they don't come into compliance, then he'd deal with them with the cease and desist or whatever, however he'd deal with it. It wouldn't necessarily come to us. We impose the condition.
I
We
guess-
don't enforce it.
Okay, so if,
I don't walk around and say, oh, I put a condition on that property, you guys gotta do it. We put the permit out there, they're supposed to comply with whatever the permit says. If they're not, Barry enforces it. He goes out there and says, you're doing something wrong, you gotta get in compliance.
and if he chooses not to, what are the options?
if he chooses not to. Well, it depends. If he's saying, I don't think it's a violation, then that's different. If he's just ignoring it, then I don't know, you have to look at the bylaw and see. I think there is a mechanism for you to file an application with zoning.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah. All right. Make a motion to close the hearing. A second.
John, you want a second?
All in favor? Aye. All right. They're off. I'm off.
You're off.
Grab the file.
I don't miss those days.